Welcome to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. I'm your host, Jeannie Hall, and I'm pursuing my dreams by helping you make your dreams a reality. I'm an author, blogger, podcaster, and life coach who hopes to inspire you to feel better, live happier, and go after your dreams with a vengeance. You can do it. Join me. Hello, and welcome to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. I'm Jeannie Hall, your host, and this is episode 19, Unique. So I believe we are all special and unique. We all have a divine purpose in being here on earth at this particular time. I mean, think about it. So many people are reaching for more in their lives right now, probably more than there ever has been. I see examples of this all over the place. Ever since 2006 or 7, when The Secret came out by Rhonda Byrne, and The Secret movie came out, and she was featured on Oprah and all that kind of stuff, I have seen so much more of like an awakening type thing happening, where there's so many more people out there who are wanting more in their lives. We're no longer willing to accept, so many of us, that life is at best boring or at worst suffering, and then you die. And I've heard so many people say stuff like that. You know, I have to pay the only thing I have to do is pay taxes and die, or whatever. It's just, it's horrible. So I'm one of those people who wanted more, and I started to go after it. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably want more too. We want more growth. We want more understanding. We want more love. We want more joy. We want more peace. So we're no longer satisfied with living as we were, whether that was in a rut, or whether that was suffering, or whether it was something else that we consider negative. We want adventure. We want to contribute. We want to help others. We want to make the world a better place. We want the best for our children, whether they're our children or the world. We want substance over superficiality. And we want to be truly happy. And so we go searching. I know I did. But those of us who have found that happiness know that it's not out there in the vast beyond, in the ether somewhere. Happiness is inside of us, and it always has been. So accept that you are meant for greatness, that you are meant to be unique, because it's true. You are here right now for a reason. And the amazing thing is, when you discover what makes you light up inside, what makes your heart glow, you'll wonder how you ever could have doubted it. We make our world. We do. You and I. We are creators. We are investors in our own futures. And how we invest now determines the success and happiness we experience down the road. So what do we want the future of our species to be? What do we want our own futures to become? What choices are we going to make that happen? What choices are you going to make for yourself? For example, as you know, if you've been listening to this podcast, I'm someone in the midst of a weight loss journey. I've lost 43 pounds, but I'm not satisfied with 43 pounds. I've gone from 233 to 190, which is great, but I still want to lose more. And to that end, I've started to make more changes since I've been kind of plateaued for a few months now. The big achievement I've made most recently is to end all eating after 7 p.m. and to limit myself to 2 meals a day. And if I decide to do something with my eating, I make sure that I'm making that decision consciously. I'm not just sitting on a couch watching Netflix with a huge bag of chips in my hand without being aware of it. And that, honestly, my friends, is more than half the battle. If we are present with ourselves and we are aware of our actions at all times, we make ourselves aware, we make ourselves stay in the present moment, then that weird eating where you just get to the bottom of a huge amount of food, and usually it's crap, usually it's junk food, and at the end you're like, wow, I ate that whole thing. Damn, okay. That's where we get into trouble, those of us who are overeaters in the world, those of us who are fighting a weight battle. So I basically started to see more and more the positive, of course, the results of weight loss, but also just paying attention to my present being and how I actually feel. And that's really what has begun to change, not just my weight and my overall health, but it's also changing my whole life in all aspects. For my health reasons, for one example, I no longer suffer from acid reflux, which used to be a constant companion of mine, especially at night. My stomach, my actual physical belly, which is where I carry most of my weight personally, is getting flatter. I no longer have to shop in the plus size section for my clothes. I used to be anywhere from a 2 to 3X, and now I'm down to extra large or even large in some clothes, or 14 or even 12 in some clothes. So the way they make clothes is kind of erratic as far as fit and that kind of thing. But the cool thing is I can go right to any store that has regular clothing sizes. In America, we call that Missy sizes. And I don't have to go to plus size. I don't have to go to the women's department. I can go straight to the regular section or any store that carries women's clothing and know that I can fit into those clothes. And that is such an amazing feeling, because I've gone 20 years without being able to do that. So now I know with certainty that I will have one of those beautiful flat bellies I've always admired in others. They're all over TV, they're all over the internet, pictures in magazines of these beautiful flat bellies on women. And I know that I'm going to have one of those. I'm creating that for myself. And I know I'm going to have it because I've made the commitment to have it. I've promised myself that I'll have it. And I no longer break promises to myself. And that's one of the biggest agents of change, is when you can get to know yourself enough that you can make commitments and promises to yourself and stick to them. A lot of us will say, I'm never going to do that again. And we turn right around, usually in not very long at a time, and do it again, even though we said we wouldn't. Because when you break a promise to yourself, it starts to affect your confidence. And if you keep promises to yourself and you commit to keeping that promise to yourself, suddenly you have the confidence to go into the world and know, by God, I can do it. I know I can do it because I've already done it. It's very, very empowering. And I'm so proud of myself for honoring that. I'm so proud of myself for learning how to love myself enough to make good on those promises. I can't even express the full extent of how good that feels. So for those of us out there that are trying to be happier, one of those things is to make commitments and promises to yourself and keep them. Now, this is me. This is my unique journey. And I've realized that the contribution I have to make to this world is my own uniqueness. And the more I love things and the more I love myself and the more I commit to following that path, the more I know I'm going to make more of a contribution. And you also have a contribution to make if you'd like to make it. Of course, the choice is up to you. But you have your own unique perspective. You have your own unique skill set and gifts. You have your own unique view of the world, and no one else sees it exactly the way you do. And you are so important to how the world works, even how the universe functions. You are an essential part of that. And Rhonda Burns from The Secret, basically one of her famous quotes is that we are all essential pieces of the universe. And I've really come to agree with that. Who you are and your childhood experiences, your growth as a person and human being, your strength and your beauty are all unique to you. And that cannot be replaced or replicated. And one thing that happens in the world sometimes, corporations, those of us who work for others, and especially if they're big corporations, they tend to try and train their workers to believe that they're like cogs in a machine that are completely replaceable. And sometimes that information comes out and is communicated as kind of a quasi-threat even. Like, if you don't do what we want as fast as we want, as good as we want, you'll be replaced. We're all replaceable, so watch your back. That's kind of what comes out in meetings and emails and communiques from these head honchos at these corporations sometimes. And isn't that lovely of them to send that? Doesn't that inspire loyalty in you? Don't you just want to work there forever? Doesn't that make you feel wonderful and lucky and important to have such great support behind you? Right? Can you hear the sarcasm? Not, right? It's the direct opposite. It's just so ridiculous for them to put something like that out there and expect it to inspire anything but problems. As if anyone else could give the world what you give the world. That's not how it works. When you do your very best, you are a force to be reckoned with. You are an amazing power in and of yourself. So for anyone, whether it's a head of a corporation or someone you're having a relationship with or a family member or a stranger, anyone, to say something as silly as that you are replaceable shows that they do not understand what human beings are actually all about. And they underestimate other people, their workers, and themselves. Because we are on this planet together, and we share this human experience. And it's important to remember that while our similarities will always outweigh our differences as human beings, it's our unique contributions that build this gorgeous world of ours together. Our uniqueness as individuals create this fantastic human whole that we all get to be a part of and feel connected through. And it's an incredible gift to understand where we all fit in. I think it really does make us more compassionate to ourselves and to others if we can experience our existence in this way, to see it as the beautiful, wonderful thing that it is. And so now I'm going to share a handful of quotes that I found that I thought were really beautiful that have to do with uniqueness. And the first one is, you have to be unique and different and shine in your own way. And this is attributed to Lady Gaga. Now, I am not a huge Lady Gaga fan per se, but I really, really, really respect some of the stuff that she has done positive in the world. And she's kind of shown people, whether you like her music or not, whether you like her or not, whether you agree with what she does and what she wears or whatever else or not, doesn't really matter, frankly. What matters is that she has gone out and gone into this world courageously and bravely and is showing the world that you can be unique and wonderful and be a success. So just in and of that, just that is amazing. So I think that's a pretty cool example. And my second quote, number 2, what sets you apart can sometimes feel like a burden, and it's not. And a lot of the time, it's what makes you great. And this one is attributed to Emma Stone. Now, Emma Stone, for those of you who may not know, she's usually a redhead. She has starred in a lot of movies like La La Land, and she was in The Amazing Spider-Man. She was in, Easy A, and some different movies out there. She's become very successful. Zombieland. And she's known for having kind of a really sarcastic sense of humor and being in comedic roles most of the time. But I love that a lot of us, especially when we're young, especially when we're like preteen and teenagers, we have such a huge need to fit in that we sometimes do bad, unhealthy things to ourselves. We think of ourselves in negative ways and cause problems for ourselves because we're trying to fit in with a group that isn't our group, or whatever. We might do something like, start smoking or try drugs or have sex or whatever with the intention of fitting in, when really, if we had a little more self-confidence, we would never even try and do something because we don't want to do that. We want to fit in, and we're willing to do what we don't want to do sometimes. But I love what Emma says about it's what makes you great is your own uniqueness. And you don't have to fit in into some group that doesn't fit you, that you don't, and do something you don't like to do, something you don't enjoy just to fit in. That's not necessary. That's not the kind of fitting in we're meant to do. We already fit into this world as human beings. We fit that way, and we are all connected, but we don't have to try and be something we're not to fit into a special situation. If a situation or a group of people don't make you happy, then don't worry about them. Look for another group. All right, number 3, who wants to be normal when you can be unique? And this one is attributed to Helena Bonham Carter. The main thing I know her from she was a Room with the View back in the day, and back in I think the 80s or 90s. She's been an actress for a long time. And she's also Bellatrix Lestrange from the Harry Potter series, which is one of my main things that I know her from. But she's been in a whole bunch of movies, lots and lots and lots. She's a very cool lady, and I thought that was really neat for her to compare. Because so much of the time, we all come out and we go out in the world and we say, oh, we just want to be quiet and normal and fit in. That's not what we were created to do. We were created as unique beings to be unique and to make unique contributions. We just have to be courageous enough to do so. This one is number 4. My 4th quote: cling to your imperfections, they're what make you unique. I thought that was lovely, because so many of us grow up trying to be perfect. And a lot of that comes from people pleasing, which is not healthy in any way. The only person you should ever try and please is yourself, because ultimately you're the only one who matters to your own happiness. If you can please yourself, then you're good. But trying to be perfect, as far as like, if you're a writer, an author in particular, you're a creative person, and you won't release that novel or that writing project until there's absolutely no grammatical errors, and you edit it to death, basically. You actually sometimes end up compromising the beauty of your work because you're so worried about having that comma in the right place or something minor like that. That kind of perfection is procrastination, and it keeps you from sending out what beautiful work you have to share with others. It stops you from growing, and it stops you from succeeding. So if you find yourself trying to perfect something over and over and over, see it for what it is. It's procrastination. And just trust that everything is, if it's not perfect, that's okay. Send it out. It'll be fine. It'll be great. My 5th quote is simple. It's just, I am unique, I am special, I am me. And that would be a really easy one to use as an affirmation as well. I think that's just really important, and part of our self-confidence as those of us who work with personal development and self-improvement type of work try and do is to feel better about ourselves. And part of that is to accept that you're unique and special, and that being you is the best thing you could ever be. My sixth quote is a definition. I actually saw this in a picture on the internet, which I thought was really cool. It just says unique, and it's got two definitions tied to it. The first one is being the only one of its kind. So that's nice. And then the second definition is without equal or equivalent, unparalleled. So next time you're feeling down, think about how unique you are, that you are one of a kind, you are without equal or equivalent, you are unparalleled. That's how amazing you are. My seventh one is you are unique. There has never been another you, and there never will be. So why not make the best for yourself, right? Doesn't that make sense? And my last quote, my eighth quote, is stop trying to fit in when you were meant to stand out. I love that. As someone who was a people pleaser as a young girl and tried to fit into a group that did not, of friends whenever I was like 12, that did not actually match up with me at all. What they weren't really what I was, and it didn't make sense for me. They were popular and I wasn't. And so that's why I tried to fit into their group. But I already had a group of friends that was perfectly wonderful, and I didn't see it at the time. And it was a lesson that I'm very thankful to learn, and that I learned it young, because it has served me very well to know who my true friends are. And I think that's an important lesson to have in our lives, to know who is really there for you and who is not, and who is really a good match for you and who is not. And to understand that standing out is a beautiful, gorgeous thing, and it gives you confidence when you're willing to be brave and courageous about it. So what do you think? Do you struggle to find your place in this world? Or do you have the confidence to follow your dreams? Just remember how magnificent you are. You really are. And if you're not in the place you'd like to be in your life, you are the one who can change it. And if you're not sure how you can change that, just go to writinginyourjammies.com/coaching, and I'll be happy to help you. So I'm going to wrap it up now. I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. Go to writinginyourjammies.com to sign up for my brand new Rejuvenation for Writers 6-week comprehensive program to help writers reignite their creative sparks. You're just a free mini session away from becoming the amazing author you've always wanted to become. You really can be whoever you want to be. Thanks again.